I was standing in the middle of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom, holding a glass of champagne that cost more than some people's groceries for a week. The chandeliers above me sparkled like 1,000 tiny suns, and everywhere I looked, people in designer suits and elegant dresses were laughing, networking, celebrating. I had paid for all of this. Every single flower arrangement, every bottle of wine, every perfectly crafted appetizer. I watched Aria from across the room, her smile radiant as she chatted with her colleagues. She glanced at me once, then quickly looked away when her CEO walked toward her. I had no idea that in the next 30 seconds, 6 years of my life would be erased with just 2 words. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. If stories about betrayal, healing, and ultimate redemption speak to you, hit that like button and subscribe to join this community. What those 2 words were and what I did next. Stay with me. My name is Marcus, and I was 32 years old when my world collapsed at a party I paid for. But to understand that night, you need to know how Aria and I began. I met her 6 years before that party at a small coffee shop in downtown Denver. She was sitting alone at a corner table laptop, open, papers scattered everywhere, and a look of complete exhaustion on her face. I was there grabbing my usual afternoon coffee before heading back to a construction site. I owned a small construction company back then, just me and 3 guys doing residential renovations and small commercial projects. Aria looked up when I accidentally bumped her table walking past. Our eyes met, and I swear something shifted in the universe. She had these deep brown eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies of dreams and ambitions. We started talking. She told me she was a junior analyst at a financial firm drowning in student debt, barely making rent, driving a car that broke down more often than it ran. I fell hard and fast. Within 3 months, we were inseparable. Within 6 months, she had moved into my apartment. And within a year, I had made a decision that would define the next 5 years of my life. I decided to invest everything I had into her future. I started with her student loans. $47,000 spread across multiple lenders, accumulating interest faster than she could pay it down. I set up automatic payments from my account, never telling her exactly how much I was contributing. Over 3 years, I cleared every single penny of that debt. When her old Honda finally died for good on the side of Interstate 70, I surprised her with a brand new Lexus. The look on her face when she saw that car in our driveway is something I held on to for years. She cried, threw her arms around me, told me I was the best thing that had ever happened to her. Then came her MBA. Aria had always dreamed of climbing the corporate ladder, of being someone important in the financial world. But business school was expensive, and she could not afford it on her salary. So I paid $60,000 over 2 years for evening classes at the University of Denver. I would come home exhausted from construction sites, cook dinner, and quiz her on case studies until midnight. I helped her prepare for every single job interview. I bought her interview outfits, drove her to networking events, stayed up late, practicing her presentation skills. When she got promoted to senior financial analyst, I threw her a surprise dinner party. When she got headhunted by a bigger firm with a better title, I helped her negotiate her salary. I did all of this gladly, without hesitation, without expectation of recognition. I believed we were a team. I believed that her success was our success, that everything we were building was for both of us. I never once asked her to pay me back. I never held it over her head. I just loved her, and I showed that love by investing in her dreams. Looking back, I can see the signs I ignored. The way she started going to work events without me. The way she would change the subject when I asked about her colleagues, the way she seemed almost embarrassed when I showed up at her office to take her to lunch. But love makes you blind, and I was completely, utterly blind. The night of the party, Arya had just been promoted to vice president. It was the position she had been working toward for 5 years, the culmination of everything we had sacrificed together. I wanted to celebrate her properly. I rented out the main ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton. I hired a jazz band because she loved jazz. I ordered her favorite flowers, white roses, and lilies to be arranged on every table. I created a custom menu with her favorite dishes and wines. I invited 50 people, her colleagues, her friends, her family. The total cost was $15,000 charged to my personal credit card without a second thought. I would have paid twice that to see her happy. The evening started beautifully. Arya looked stunning in a deep burgundy dress, her hair swept up elegantly, diamond earrings sparkling. The earrings were another gift from me, our 3rd anniversary. She worked the room like she was born for this life, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, glowing with success. I stayed near the edge of the room for the first hour, letting her have her moment. I was proud of her, genuinely, deeply proud. I kept thinking about that exhausted woman in the coffee shop 6 years ago and marveling at how far she had come. Then Jonathan Whitmore, the CEO of her company, walked toward me. He was a tall man in his 50s, silver hair, perfectly styled suit, probably worth more than my truck. He extended his hand with a practiced smile. "And you are?" he asked. I opened my mouth to introduce myself, to say that I was Marcus Arya's partner, the person who had helped her get to this moment. But before I could speak, Arya appeared at my side. She must have seen Jonathan approaching me from across the room. "Oh, this is Marcus," she said quickly, her voice light and casual. "He is my driver tonight. He helped me get here." My driver. 2 words. 2 words that erased 6 years of sacrifice, of love, of unwavering support. 2 words that told me exactly where I stood in her life, which was nowhere. Jonathan nodded politely, already losing interest. "That is nice. Good help is hard to find these days." Then he turned to Arya and started discussing quarterly projections. I stood there, frozen, the champagne glass still in my hand. I looked at Arya, waiting for her to correct herself, to laugh and say she was joking, to introduce me properly. She did not even glance in my direction. She just kept talking to Jonathan, her hand touching his arm lightly as she laughed at something he said. For the next 2 hours I stayed at that party. I do not know why. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe I was waiting for Arya to come find me, to apologize, to explain. She never did. Instead, I watched. I watched her introduce her parents to Jonathan and other senior executives, proudly presenting them as the people who raised her, who supported her dreams. I watched her pose for photos with colleagues, with friends, with everyone except me. I watched her navigate that room like a politician, charming everyone she encountered. At one point, a woman I did not recognize approached Arya. I was close enough to hear their conversation. "This party is absolutely incredible," the woman said. "Who paid for all this? It must have cost a fortune." Arya laughed, tossing her hair back. "Oh, I saved up for it. Wanted to celebrate properly." She saved up for it. I felt something crack inside my chest. I kept watching. I saw the way she looked at Jonathan, with admiration, with ambition, with something that looked disturbingly like attraction. I saw her lean in close to him, touch his arm again, laugh at everything he said. I recognized that look. It was the same look she used to give me. Arya's mother walked past me at some point. We made eye contact. I had helped her and Arya's father pay for roof repairs on their house last year when they could not afford it. $12,000 written off as a loan I knew I would never ask them to repay. She nodded at me coldly and kept walking as if I were a stranger. That was when I made my decision. I did not make a scene. I did not confront Aria in front of her colleagues. I did not throw my champagne glass or shout accusations. I simply placed my glass on the nearest table, pulled out my phone, and ordered an Uber. Then I walked out of the Ritz-Carlton without saying goodbye to anyone. The ride home took 37 minutes. I spent every single one of those minutes staring out the window in silence. The driver tried to make conversation twice. I did not respond. I was not being rude. I simply had no words left inside me. When I got home, I walked through the front door of the house I had bought 3 years ago. The house with only my name on the deed because we were not married yet, because Aria wanted to wait until she was more established in her career before we started planning a wedding. I had been fine with waiting. I would have waited forever. I went to our bedroom. I pulled out a suitcase from the closet and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, a few books, my laptop. I took my grandfather's watch from the dresser, the one thing in that house that truly mattered to me beyond practical use. Then I sat down and wrote a note on a piece of paper from the nightstand. I heard everything. I wish you well. Do not contact me. I placed the note on Aria's pillow. Then I walked out of that house at 2 a.m. and never looked back. I drove to Derek's place. Derek had been my best friend since high school, the kind of friend who would answer the door at 2 a.m. without asking questions. When he saw my face, he just stepped aside and said, "Guest room is ready. We will talk when you are ready." I did not talk for 3 days. I just existed in his guest room sleeping, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what had happened. My phone exploded with messages and calls from Aria. 23 missed calls the first day alone. Her texts ranged from angry to confused to desperate. "Where did you go? How could you just leave? This is ridiculous, Marcus. Stop being dramatic and come home. Baby, please, I can explain. It was just a joke. You embarrassed me by leaving like that. Everyone was asking where you went. I am sorry, okay? Can we please just talk about this?" I read every message. I did not respond to a single one. On the 4th day, I started making phone calls. I called my bank and removed Aria's name from our joint account. I called the credit card company and canceled the supplementary card she had been using, the one I paid off every month. I called my lawyer and asked him to start the process of selling the house. Aria was not on the deed, so she had no legal claim to it, but I wanted to give her time to find a new place. I sent Aria one email. It was short and direct. "You have 30 days to remove your belongings from the house. After that, I will donate anything left behind. Please do not contact me again." She tried calling immediately after receiving it. I let it go to voicemail. A week later, Derek told me something that made everything clearer and more painful at the same time. "I need to tell you something," he said one evening. We were sitting on his back porch drinking beer, watching the sun set over the mountains. "I should have told you months ago, but I did not know how." I waited. "About 3 months ago, I was at that Italian place downtown, the fancy one on Larimer Street. I saw Aria there." "Okay," I said, not understanding yet. "She was with a man. Older guy, silver hair. They were sitting very close together. She was laughing, touching his hand. I did not know who he was at the time." My stomach dropped. "Jonathan, that is what I figured after you told me what happened at the party. Marcus, I am sorry. I should have said something. I just was not sure what I saw, and I did not want to accuse her of something without proof." I sat there for a long moment, processing this new information. 3 months. She had been having dinner with Jonathan 3 months before that party, before her promotion. I wondered if the promotion was even about her qualifications or if it was about something else entirely. It did not matter anymore. None of it mattered. I was done. The first 3 months after leaving Aria were some of the hardest of my life. But they were also when I finally started living for myself. I threw myself into work with an intensity I had not felt in years. All that energy I had been pouring into Aria's career, into her dreams, into her future, I redirected into my own company. I bid on bigger contracts. I hired 2 more crew members. I expanded into commercial construction. The breakthrough came when I landed a contract to build a luxury apartment complex on the outskirts of Denver. $2 million. It was the biggest project my company had ever taken on. I worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week, pushing myself to exhaustion every night, so I would not have time to think about what I had lost. I also started taking care of myself in ways I had neglected for years. I joined a gym and went every morning at 5:30 before the sun came up. I started reading again, something I had stopped doing because Aria always wanted the television on in the evenings. I cooked real meals instead of grabbing fast food between job sites. And I started therapy. That was Derek's suggestion, and it was the best advice anyone had ever given me. My therapist was a woman named Dr. Patterson, a no-nonsense professional in her 60s, who did not let me get away with anything. In our sessions, she helped me understand patterns I had never seen in myself. "Marcus," she said during one session, "why do you think you gave so much to Aria without expecting anything in return?" "Because I loved her," I said. It seemed obvious. "But did you love yourself?" That question stopped me cold. I did not have an answer. Over the following weeks, Dr. Patterson helped me see that I had been seeking validation through sacrifice. I had believed on some deep level that I was only worthy of love if I was useful, if I was providing something. I had given Aria everything because I was afraid that without those gifts, without that support, she would see no reason to stay with me. "You are worthy of love simply because you exist," Dr. Patterson told me, "not because of what you provide. Anyone who makes you feel otherwise is not someone who truly loves you." Those words changed something fundamental in me. 4 months after leaving Aria, I walked into a coffee shop near my office to grab an afternoon pick-me-up. The universe has a strange sense of humor because coffee shops seem to be where my life changes direction. I was standing in line when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Marcus." I turned around and found myself face to face with Sienna. Sienna had been Aria's best friend since their freshman year of college. I had always liked her. She was warm, genuine, direct in a way that Aria never was. She worked as an architect, had her own small firm, and drove a beat-up Subaru that she refused to replace because, as she put it still runs and I have better things to spend money on. "Sienna," I said. "Hi." She looked at me with an expression I could not quite read. "I heard what happened. At the party. After. Word travels fast," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I am not here to gossip," she said quickly. "I just wanted to say that I am sorry. What she did was wrong, and I want you to know that I told her that, to her face." That surprised me. "You did?" "We are not friends anymore," Sienna said. "I ended it after I found out what happened." I cannot be friends with someone who treats another person like that, especially someone who gave her everything you did. I did not know what to say. Of all the people in Aria's circle, Sienna was the last one I expected to take my side, or any side at all. "Do you want to grab a coffee?" I asked impulsively. "I mean, we are already here." She smiled. It was a genuine smile, not the calculated charm I had become so used to with Aria. "I would like that." We talked for 2 hours that afternoon. We talked about our work, our families, our lives. We talked about everything except Aria, which was a relief. For the first time in months, I felt like a normal person having a normal conversation, not a victim processing trauma. When we finally stood up to leave, Sienna handed me her card. "I would like to do this again sometime, if you want." I took the card. "I would like that too." Our friendship developed slowly, organically. Coffee turned into lunch, which turned into dinner, which turned into long walks through Denver's parks on weekend afternoons. I was not looking for a relationship. I was not ready for one. But Sienna never pushed. She just showed up consistently and genuinely asking nothing from me except my company. 6 months after that first coffee, I realized I had fallen in love with her. It happened gradually, like the sun rising so slow that you do not notice the light changing until suddenly it is full day. The moment I knew for certain was at a dinner party at Derek's house. Derek had invited some friends over for a barbecue, and I had asked if I could bring Sienna. When I introduced her to the group, she put her arm through mine and said, "This is Marcus. He is the most hardworking and kindest person I know. You are all lucky to have him as a friend." Such a simple thing. But after years of being hidden, of being diminished, of being called a driver at a party, I paid for those words meant everything. A year after leaving Aria, I heard through mutual acquaintances what had happened to her. She and Jonathan had started dating officially almost immediately after I left. It turned out my suspicions were correct. Their relationship had begun long before that party, maybe even before her promotion. She had traded me in for a corner office and a CEO boyfriend. But Jonathan, as it turned out, had a pattern. 6 months into their relationship, a younger, newer analyst joined the company. 26 years old, eager, ambitious. Sound familiar? Jonathan moved on to his next project, and Aria found herself alone. It got worse. When the company discovered her relationship with Jonathan, they launched an internal investigation. They found evidence of favoritism in her promotion. She was given a choice: resign quietly or be terminated publicly. She resigned. Without Jonathan's protection, without the salary she had grown accustomed to, Aria could not maintain her lifestyle. She lost her apartment. She could not afford the Lexus payments and had to sell it. Eventually, she moved back in with her parents, the same parents I had helped with their roof repairs. I did not celebrate when I heard this news. I did not feel satisfaction or vindication. I just felt sad. Sad that someone I had loved so deeply had made such destructive choices. Sad that she had thrown away something real for something that turned out to be illusion. About 14 months after I left, I received an email from Aria. It was long and rambling and clearly written late at night. She apologized for the party. She apologized for Jonathan. She apologized for years of taking me for granted. She said she had not realized what she had until it was gone. She said I was the best thing that had ever happened to her. She asked if we could meet just once to talk. I read the email 3 times. Then I wrote back, "I forgive you, because I need peace, not because you deserve it. But we will never be anything again. I hope you find what you are looking for." Then I blocked her email address and her phone number. 2 years have passed since that party at the Ritz-Carlton. My life is unrecognizable from what it was then. Sienna and I got married last spring in a small ceremony in the mountains outside Denver. 30 guests, mostly close friends and family. Derek was my best man. Sienna wore a simple white dress and wildflowers in her hair, and she was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. We bought a house together, a modest place in the suburbs with a big backyard and a vegetable garden that Sienna insists on maintaining herself. My company has grown to 20 employees and brings in over $5 million in annual revenue. I just signed a contract to build a new community center downtown, my biggest project yet. Sienna started her own architecture firm last year. Sometimes we work together on projects. Watching her design the buildings that my crews construct feels like the partnership I always dreamed of having. Two people building something together, literally and figuratively. And in 3 months, we are expecting our first child, a boy. We are going to name him James, after my grandfather. I think about Arya sometimes. Not with anger, not with resentment, just with a distant curiosity about how someone could make such different choices than I would have made. Last I heard, she moved to Phoenix, took a job making a fraction of what she used to earn, and is still single. I do not know if that is true, and I do not particularly care to find out. What I do know is this: that night at the party taught me something I will never forget. The people who truly love you will never hide you. They will never be ashamed of you. They will stand beside you and introduce you with pride, not as their driver, but as their partner, their equal, their chosen person. I spent 6 years building someone else's dream while forgetting my own. I paid for her success with my money, my time, and my self-respect. And in the end, I was not even worth a proper introduction. But here is what I learned. Walking away is not giving up. Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop accepting less than you deserve. Arya taught me what I did not want. Sienna showed me what I did. So if you are sitting there right now wondering if you should stay with someone who makes you feel invisible, let me tell you this: you are not a secret to be hidden. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are the main character of your own life. Act like it. And to anyone who has ever been called just a driver, just an assistant, just a nobody by someone who was supposed to love them, hear me when I say this. Your worth is not determined by how others introduce you. It is determined by how you introduce yourself to the world. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been made to feel invisible by someone who should have valued you? How did you find the strength to walk away and rebuild? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story touched something in your heart, please hit that like button and let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories about resilience healing and finding your way back to yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message right now, share this video with them. You never know whose life you might change. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for listening to my story. I wish you the courage to walk away from anything that diminishes you, and the wisdom to recognize the love that truly sees you when it arrives. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.